Hello and welcome. These are parts for PC number 20. PC number 20 since I started numbering them last year arbitrarily anyway. So what we're going to be doing today is just building PCs the way I would usually build them to sell them. So it's not going to be a definitive guide on how to build a PC, we're just going to be building one. We're going to be talking about things as we go. Any questions I'll answer. This is going to be relatively quite the budget build, although it's a little bit better than usual. It does have a 980 Ti rather than the 980. I have quite a few 980s. It's surprising how easy those are to get a hold of compared to any other GPU. And they're still reasonable cards. A little bit power hungry, especially the Ti. It's the power supply. So this is going to be split into 3 videos after the live stream. We're going to have a unboxing setup of the parts, quick look at them all. Then we are going to have a entire build section, and then we're going to have a section at the end for software, benchmarking, troubleshooting. So it should be quite straightforward to get through. So we should probably talk about some of the parts that we have, and I am going to say the price that these cost me, what I might sell it for, the kind of profit margins I'm expecting on this build. Here we have an MSI H410M Pro. This was about £55, somewhere in the 53 to 58 margin, I don't really remember exactly. Open box. So it means, I bought this from CCL, it means it works, they've tested it, it works. It is a quite recent return, and it's probably just someone who didn't want it, is usually the case. What I think has happened here is someone has nicked the SATA cables from it, and then just returned it. It seems perfectly fine condition. But yeah, they've definitely they've straight up nicked the SATA cables from this box. I believe this definitely does come with a pack of 2 SATA cables, if I remember right. So that's a motherboard, nice and cheap option. Socket 1200. We have the Intel. Fuck. Sorry about that. Here we have the Intel 10th Gen Core i3 10100F. This one might take a little minute to focus here. As you probably know if you watched my other videos, the autofocus on this webcam, the C920, is pretty bad. I think you can get the gist of what that looks like from there though. So this is quite a nice budget CPU. Right now this is like £70, I bought this for 73 at the time. But it's 70 right now, and you get a lot of bang for your buck, 4 cores, 8 threads, and it's just really nice. You get good performance out of this. Powering this, we have the Kolink Classic 600 watt. These are still going cheap, I think. Nothing too special here. A+ bronze, but it's a really nice PSU for the price. We have 2 2+6 pin connectors for the PCIe power for the graphics card, and as you can see on the power table, we have 546 watts on the 12 volt rail. I'm curious if my webcam has gone into autofocus or not, because it turned off autofocus. Does seem like it, doesn't it? Looks like my webcam settings have just crashed and disappeared. There we go. So yes, we're at 550 watts of continuous power. For the storage, we have the Seagate Barracuda Q1 SSD, 960GB. And sticking in roughly a 1TB SSD is usually quite a good thing for me. I do enjoy it. People prefer to get a lot of fast storage. It makes it feel snappier for much longer, rather than a small SSD and a large hard drive. 550 megabytes per second, that's the read speed, it's 500 right. Nothing too special, but it's a nice little SSD for a very cheap margin. The RAM here is just Gigabyte RAM. I think it doesn't have a secondary name, it's just called Gigabyte RAM on their website as well. This is used, it's a little bit on scuffed outside, as you see. It does have some scratches here and there. This is 2666 MHz C16. Nothing too special, but it's pretty much the best we can use for the chipset and the CPU, whereas the board is locked and the CPU is not overclockable. So the max RAM we can use with it is 2666. Anything higher, we'll just downclock to 26 max. So this cost me £40 roughly. I paid £80 for 32GB, which is 2 sets of 2x8 sticks. So 2x8 sticks here of 16GB total. This is an option. This is a used Toshiba drive. As you can see, it's quite old, but it's 7200 RPM. It does pass CTOL Smart Check and the very long, extremely long on 3TB. It's been a while since I last did it on a hard drive. Check to ensure there's no bad sectors across the drive, and there isn't. So this is working. It's very old, but there seems to be no issues whatsoever. I may include this, I may not. I might include this as an optional extra because it was very, very cheap for the price. So even though it is old, it's verified working and may still be a nice option. And second to last, aside from accessories, we have the MSI 980 Ti. 980 Ti was a really good card back in its day, and this is the one of the better versions of it. It's very low profile cooler in my opinion. It's slightly less than 2 slots, rather than the standard 2.5 slots for the bigger ones we see. Fan's quite nice, quite low profile as well. It just looks good. So as you can see, we're probably going for a red and black theme here. So that's that. I will show the case at the end, but before we clear all this up, let's take a quick look at the accessories. We're probably going to use a red SATA cable for the drive. I do have an additional one if we do choose to use the hard drive, but that's probably going to be completely hidden. I did bring some black SATA cables just in case I might look a bit better. We'll see when we see the case. And as per usual, cable ties. You always need cable ties. I'm running out, I need to order some more. Arctic MX4 thermal compound. We may or may not use this. What I'm thinking is that I will probably use the stock thermal paste on the cooler that it comes with. And that should be good enough for me, I think. Good enough for a while, but I may just benchmark that in this specific PC with this case, and then MX4 and see how much difference it makes. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 degrees of difference, but you know, Arctic's MX4, it's always very nice stuff to have. It's expensive to buy a large tube like this, but there are rumours of MX5 coming out, and I'm excited to try that when it does. Leave these there. Oops. We have a USB adapter for Wi-Fi. Up to 600 megabytes per second. I think this is BS. Was it 11 AC up to 433 megabytes per second? And even then, I'm not sure if I believe it. 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So I do sometimes sell USB adapters, but whenever they come up, I just pick one off eBay. This is one that's quite readily available, it's quite cheap. I would like to buy a lot of these, and I just want to see how plug and play they are, whether I have to plug it in and if it spends the next hour just trying to work with the driver or whatever, like my last one. The one I use for testing myself actually does. So if that works right out of the box, then I'm going to be quite happy with that. And last but not least, there are 3 fans on this case, 2 in front, 1 rear. I'm going to move the rear one to the front and put a new fan in the back. But I don't know how I'm going to power them, because obviously this motherboard does not have enough fan headers for all of them. So I do have a 3-way splitter for all of them. But what I was thinking of doing, just to get it on video, is to make a 5-volt mod for the fans. So the fans run on 12 volts normally, and we're going to reduce that to 5 volts. However, it might be a little bit dubious to consider the 7-volt mod as well. So either way, those are our 2 options for the fans. We're just going to see when we get to it. Apparently on full 12 volt through the Molex connector they are very loud, as you would expect. So let's get all this stuff out of the way, and we will get the case up here. Actually, it probably would make a little bit more sense. I think it makes more sense right now for us to unbox all the components. Let's get the motherboard out of this box. Just as you would per standard. We're going to use the motherboard box as a stand for it. Quite a nice PCI slot. This is a nice motherboard. That's why I bought it open box, because it was the same price as a really cheap motherboard on sale. And no, it's quite a good one. Just put this down to one side. Let's get the SSD out. Little manual there. And there's our quite light but quite nice Barracuda Q1 1TB SSD. Remember when these used to be hundreds? Remember when like 128 gigs, megabytes? No, yeah, gigs was quite expensive for an SSD. What's next? Obviously the graphics card's already out. Get a power supply out of here. I've already had a look at this one. This was probably one of the earlier Kolinks I bought, but I just never really got around to using it in a build. I bought some smaller ones and I've been using those. Oops. There's our mounting hardware in there and a couple of free straps. Quite a nice PSU, as you can see. Visually, I quite like it. I mean, that's quite a nice spec table visually, and the Kolink logo was quite nice as well. Let's see now. Where is the seal? There it is. So I was looking at this before, and I was like, "Where's the plastic cover?" On the on top of the thermal paste that's on the CPU, and turns out they just don't do that anymore. It's just kind of in a sealed but like not airtight box. I find this really bizarre. This definitely isn't going to focus, but oh, it does right away. The one time I don't want it to. But yeah, I just find that so odd. Why they don't have the plastic cover on anymore. So we can keep this to one side. And here's our i3 10100F. Hard drive is unpacked. We'll just keep it anti-static, unpacked. I think everything's unboxed. Let's get it to one side. So here we have the case. So I'm just going to show you the glass panel at first because I'm going to have to take this off immediately. It's really 100% glare. So as you see, it does come with a tempered glass panel. It's got the plastic protection still on both sides. Until I'm done building, I'll keep that on. Let's take this off now. Really nice red interior. It does have 3 120mm fans. There's room for 3 at the front. And my plans for this case is the fan I did want to put here has not actually arrived yet. But I think we're going to go ahead and move this to the front anyway. And the reason behind doing that is because I think just keeping all these fans together is going to be normal. I want a red LED fan. I have some in the mail, they just haven't arrived yet. And it's going to be fine just for like some light benchmarking. I'm not going to be benchmarking temperatures too much. I just want to see that everything works under load. So we don't really have to worry about that. So tooling wise, really plain, very, very common cheap case design. Pretty universal PSU shroud here. It does have mounting points for a radiator at the bottom. Again, unless you're water cooling the GPU though, there's no chance that's going to fit. So yeah, I mean, that would be a bit useless to use. Again, really nice case, nice red, but I think it's just very cheap tooling. We can see around the back here. We've got one screw, we got the standard screw holding the PCIe cover in, and the rest of these are just knockout plates, they're not screwed in. Only that one is screwed in. And grand reveal, nothing. This one's quite hard to demonstrate on camera. Because it's just, that's it. It's a nice brushed aluminium effect. It does have a little bit of seemingly scarring over here. That could possibly for CCL. They delayed my order quite a while. This case went out of stock right after I ordered it, and this was what was holding up. And then all of a sudden they came out with the case, said they had it, they're going to post it to me. It came today. Still out of stock on their website. Maybe this is some kind of RMA they just got in and said send me, but yeah, I'm a little bit dubious about that. I may be contacting them to see what the story here is if it doesn't wash off, although I can physically feel it. It does feel like it's been damaged a little bit. Aside from that, nice brushed aluminium case. The autofocus cannot work out what it's doing right now. It says Tecware there. It's the Tecware Nexus M. On the side, completely plain. The front is solid. This is the intake. Also a gap in the bottom for opening up the panel, but intake up this side of it. I/O on top. What are we looking at here? See if we get a little bit closer for the focus. No, I would rather focus on the desk. Maybe it's too much light. There we go. We have two USB 2.0s. We have a headphone and mic jack. USB 3.0 power and hard drive LED indicator, restart and power switch. Pretty standard stuff. And removable dust filter. Let's remove the front panel and see what we can see. There's a little bit of a clunk. I don't really have room for this, so try and pull those headers through as much as possible. As you can see here, removable dust filter as well, and two fans here. So that basically covers it for the entire unboxing portion. So next we're going to get into the actual build, and it's going to start with moving these fans, putting the PSU in the case, and then we'll assemble the motherboard, CPU, RAM, cooler outside of the case separately, put them together, and we'll do everything we need to do after that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the fan out of the back. We're going to move it to the front, which means we need to unattach, deattach, remove these two fans, move them up, put in the third one. Pretty simple to do. I'm just going to leave that front panel dangling there. Don't need to care too much about it. As usual, Phillips head screwdriver. I just kind of use my trusty kit. And there's 4 screws, 1 in each of the corners here in these slots we can remove. It's gonna be quite loud because this thing's gonna be flapping around the place. You can just hear the thin metal. And luckily those cables aren't routed through anything, so I don't have to worry about that. We do have to remove the back panel, which would have been smart to do. We can still get away with doing it now. So let's remove the case accessories. We'll take a little look at this later. Okay, so these fan cables need to be routed through there, no problem. And we don't need access to the back of the case. What the hell am I talking about? The screen from the front. Just had one of those brain moments right there. So let's see what we can do here. That panel is not going to be friendly to me today. So as you can see, each of these takes up 6 of these slots. We got 4 slots here, 2 here. So just move these down 2 each and we'll have 6 up here. No problem. You gotta remember with fans, usually there's never really any threads in them. The first time you put in the screws is when you are tapping the threads. This is a little bit extra of effort that we really can avoid right now because we're not actually needing to move the back fan yet. We don't have the replacement, but might as well do it now. It's not going to make a huge difference. Stagger pressure will do the rest. Let's line these up. Seems to fit there just fine. I'm gonna have to dig that out later. Screwdriver's a little bit on the small side. Managed to recover that screw. I'm to all the little basins I used to have to hold these things in. Seemingly all disappeared off the planet. Going to go diagonal here. Oops. And to be fair, do you need all 4 screws to hold it in? No. It was a good practice, yeah. But now if you do, I just did and lose a screw. Trust me, it is not the first time. And it doesn't make a huge difference. I don't think you'll ever really notice it. I mean, you might have the tiniest rattle if you're missing, you know, 2 of your screws, but 1, tighten them tight, no problem. So that's one move. Need now move, next move over. Next move over. Next put in rather. I'm going to be blocking the webcam a little bit just here. Just move you into a bit of a better angle. Of course, this means I'm working through a webcam, you don't get as much light, but... I've just gone 300 IQ. Pin the screws on the magnetic strip on the magnetic dust filler. Oh, sorry about that. Just don't trap that wire between the 2 fans. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can. That'll do. Oh, that screw is definitely not in straight. Might need a little bit of force to force this to go in. Remember, there's no dedicated threads. You can't cross thread something. It's cutting its own threads as it goes. So this one's going to be a bit of a pain to remove for whoever removes it. But sorry, it's a cheap case. You get what you pay for. There are other fans that are, you know, a little bit of a better experience to install than this. Knew that was gonna happen. Myself a bit of extra reach around the camera here. Just goes in like butter when you don't get it across and you get it in straight. Now we have to install the other fan. Which will fit in a way that I may have already messed up, but we'll give it a go anyway. No, nice full clearance right there. Except something is not compatible. Why not? Because that's coming out the wrong side. That'll do. Welcome, Jack. Let's get a bit higher of a view again. Just getting that in a little bit so it doesn't drop out. Now we can hold it in from this backside, much easier. This screw is going to go flying. Yeah, figured. Called it. I don't have a screwdriver of this correct size. I've got a 1 and a 2. I need a 1.5, I think. Wonder it'd be better to switch the smaller screwdriver already. Trying to avoid hitting the webcam setup is a little bit difficult. I would like a side overview camera. Yank that one out of this place. Had to lose your screwdriver bits 101. I've definitely lost mine by leaving them inside other screws. Should have really gone for the diagonal there, but I think this probably worked out a little bit easier. Hitting the webcam is a little bit bad, but hitting the mic is definitely murder for people's ears. I know I've only got a bit of one screw left to screw in, but oops. I'm just gonna come down in size just to get this done right. No, that one's too small now apparently. Huh. All those screws are uncomfortable anyway, so I don't have to care. Probably should get the Phillips out actually. So slap on the dust filter, put on the front panel again. A little bit flimsy of a dust filter, really. It doesn't have much else, it just looks poorly cut out, if you see these edges. Thread these front panel connectors back through. And as you can see, this panel has these pegs here, which go into the holes in the case. The reason there's multiple holes here is because this is a cheap tooling case that reuses the tooling and machines to make the parts. And there we have it. Oh, sorry about the mic. We have the Nexus M with 3 fans at the front and none at the rear because we're going to be putting one in later. So let's quickly thread these fans through the back. We haven't decided if we're going to use Molex yet or whether we're going to use a different connector. The 2 pin, I'm sorry, is it 3? It's got to be 3 pin surely, it's not 4 pin. Yeah, it's 3 pin connector. And while we're at it, we're going to put in the power supply. So this is very low bulk for the front panel connectors. So it's quite nice to see this. We have our USB 3, USB 2 front panel audio. Got those all the way around. They look very, very similar. Usual are power switches and other front panel connectors. So yeah, I think I'm just going to daisy chain these in Molex and then just do a 5V mod. Let's just do this here. Molex are always a bit of a pain to get connected into each other. Right. So, yep, it's all looking good. So then, let's get the power supply in view. Right. So, power supply, we do actually have a little bit of venting to get into the case here. We did want to put a fan. On the bottom, we have the very, very standard mesh here that's trapped under these pins, so you can pull that out if you wanted to, but it's not particularly pleasant. So we have our power supply with the logo facing through the power supply shroud, or we can have it facing with the power table here, and that would be a bit weird for me, so I'm gonna have the logo sticking through. So, let's place this in there. And we do have lots of cable management space because we don't actually have a dry bay. And that would make it quite annoying to mount a 3.5-inch drive. It can be done through the holes for the case in the PSU shroud, or the bottom. But it's a bit jank not having hard drive bays. Just even the crappy pieces of plastic you had on the GameX Expedition was quite nice. So far I'm liking this case, but there's drawbacks. We'll leave it at that. So this is the hardware that came with the PSU, just 4 screws and a couple of cable management cable ties. We're going to keep those to one side. They're the same as the ones I use, just flimsier. I'm gonna need our larger Phillips bit. Again, this can all be done with just a plain Phillips screwdriver. the Molex are for the front fans. They do have 3-pin connectors, and the options I do have are to have them running at 12 volt the whole time, not happening, 5 volt the whole time, which is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to do a 5 volt mod. I'm going to show how to do it on a simple splitter, and yeah, that's what the Molex are for. So yeah, I'm not going to use the pins and the splitter, because these fan splitters are actually like £3 or £4. You know, £2.50 to £3, kind of cheap as you get for. These extenders, they're only £1.19p or something. So you can save yourself £1 for a couple of minutes of work. It's not nothing special, but it saves you some wires around the front as well. It's something fun to do. So the power supply is going to be very, very difficult to show. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But generally this would be better lying down and just screwing from the side. But your power supply, depending on orientation, it will line up with this hole or this hole. Well, it's not really a hole, it's more of a cutout. This hole or this hole. And it will line up with these two diagonal holes. And also have these holes here. I think this is a bad idea. I might just have to bite the bullet and mount this when I've got it on its side. I think this is quite not the easiest task to get done. I also think there's a wire trapped in there. There is. USB 3 front panel audio. I wonder why that wasn't going through. And front panel audio rather. And maybe I can do it like this. We don't do things properly around here. Well, it looks like we managed to succeed. We got one screw in, and that's all you really need to start getting the others in. Two in, nice and easy from here on. Battle design vibe, nice case choice. And that does not want to line up at all. That's interesting. Can I... Yeah, you can jack it in. Sometimes they don't line up, then you kind of come in at an angle and it will, as you start screwing in, it will come up the right way. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically it goes in and it pushes a little bit of metal slightly out of the way. Slight bit of bending. Welcome, Icy. And there we go. The world's worst way to mount a PSU. Do not do it with the case face up like this. Oops, sorry about the mic. Do it with the case face down. Just put it in like this, screw in from this side. Don't turn it up. But you know, sometimes I have to show these things and I've only got the one webcam. This is part of my setup and I'm looking to improve. So stay tuned for the future of that. Select thread through the cables I'm most likely to be using. So we know that's going to be two PCIe power connectors, the CPU power connector, just one 8-pin, which I think is all this comes with, and a motherboard. Yes, Cuber, one PCIe cover is different. So these 4 are knockout. This one is screw. The reason why this one's screw is just in case you remove 2, you upgrade to a graphics card that only requires 1. Simple. Or 3, you go into 2, whatever. It gives you the flexibility of just always having at least, you know, not at least 2 big gaping holes. You could at least cover one of them if you knock out too many plugs. Knock out PCIe covers. So let's pull through these cables. So then what do we have here? I mean, it's obviously our PCIe, but no, it just doesn't say PCIe on the cable, apparently. It doesn't say in white text. That's odd. Usually I always see the last one I bought, I'm pretty sure labeled this as PCIe. But this is our 2 6+2 connectors. Because this one certainly doesn't have what we need. So as you can see, we can't use these holes unless we're going for a really tight stretch. If we line this up roughly where it should be, that's going to be the other way around. But putting a motherboard face down, this is a bad idea. Yeah, as you can see, it's going to be a little bit tight to go through the hole, and it has to do a 180-degree bend. So we could use these ones. We see more cable, and I'm not sure how that would look in this case in particular, because we are doing plain black cable against plain red background, which is the theme. So a little bit more cable coming in from here. That might look a little bit better for the motherboard cable. And the reason I'm talking about the motherboard cable is because I don't want my PCI to come out a lower slot. You know what, I think we're going to leave PCIe to last. I think we're just going to put in the CPU and the motherboard for now. So here's our CPU. We can tell it's CPU because it is 2 4-pins. That usually just slide together. And let's untangle it from these other cables just a little bit. Give us a slight better chance of cable managing this. Get it through the top rightmost slot, from our point of view here. Helps we rotate the ribbon cable before we get it there to make sure it will lay flat. We don't need a back plate, so we don't need to care about that right now. Big chunky cable here, motherboard cable. So I said this here goes through it, and then it has to do a really tight 180-degree turn to get into the motherboard from here. Or we could do it from here, and we get basically this length of cable showing against the red background. So it's not, either way you look at it, it's not going to be too pretty there, but it still looks fine from here. You know what? I'm just going to go for this one, the closer one. How does this give me cable management space? Kinda not really. There's a little bit of room here before the case actually goes on though, I think. Maybe that's doable. We'll think about that when we get towards it. Other cables we have here, we have our that's the PCIe cable. Should have a SATA and a Molex and probably one combined. We have 2 Molex here. Just straight 2 Molex. Here we have 3 SATA. SATA being what you, sorry, 4 SATA. SATA being what you use to power your drives. So yeah, we're keeping that in here for now, as well as the Molex. We're going to use the Molex with the fans back here. And we're just going to tuck this away for now. Getting a 3.5-inch drive here, it's dubious. So anyway, let's turn this over now. And we basically don't have to worry so much about this. This will obviously get threaded mostly back through CPU connectors here. Yep, I quite like this. The Kolink logo shows up quite well. This red and black theme is really nice. Just quick thought about that again. I would quite like that, to be honest. I also just realized our SATA SSD is not going to be showing. Our 2.5-inch SSD is going to be mounted on the other side of this. That's fair. It's fair enough. So let's move this to one side. Sorry, the desk is in a little bit of a state. So let's take a look at the motherboard tray here. So nothing too special, we're just going to put in the RAM, CPU cooler, GPU can wait until it's all in the case. The I/O on this is 2 USB 3 and 4 USB 2.0, DVI, VGA and HDMI. We don't have an integrated processor, we got the 10100F, F meaning no integrated processor. So that gets fun. Now I thought this didn't have many fan connectors, but I do see one here, front fan, another one there, and our CPU and probably pump fan for the sys fan, but that can also be used as chassis. So we do actually have 3 chassis fan connectors here, but I think that's just going to be murder routing those all around the case in the back when I could have them all connected together in my beautiful love of Molex. I know that's absolutely sacrilegious to some people, but you know what? It's nice and simple. I'm a simple kind of guy. So let's grab our RAM here. Probably should have picked a couple better candidates for sticks, but these are going to look fine. So on this motherboard, if you were around for my last stream, oops, as you see I'm wearing joggers. It's getting a little bit closer here. I hope this all looks fine. We're going to stick in the RAM here. We're dealing with Intel stock cooler, so the thing is, I'm not worried about like RAM clearance working around the RAM, so I'm going to pin the RAM right away. It doesn't make a difference to me. So contrary to the last motherboard we did on stream, this one does have latches on both sides of the RAM slot. So these latches, before you put a RAM stick in, they have to be flicked out. And with some motherboards, they will only have latches on one side, usually top side, can't be the bottom, but usually one. And there will just not be a latch here, it will just move in naturally. So watch out for this. If it does have 2 latches, you do need to pull them both back. Take your RAM module, hold it next to the slot. You can clearly see that this little slot in here doesn't match with the indent. So just hold it next to it, see when it lines up, and then you can just push it in. You have to push it in quite firmly from both sides. Push down, you hear a click. Push down, click again. And you can see both the latches have actually pinged in. Same here. I always just double check just to make sure it's always oriented correctly. So we pull this lever out, it's trapped under this little piece of metal here. So just push it down, hold it out, let go of it. And as I said before, we need to keep this little black plastic thing in case you need to RMA the motherboard to return it. So just leave it in there, and this will pop out when we put the CPU in. So let's try and get a close up on the CPU. There we go. And as you can see, right in this bottom left corner, there's a little golden triangle. In the other corners, we have little golden dots. Gonna be hard to see through this packaging. Let me just open that up. Little golden triangle up here, little golden dot. There's golden dots in 3 corners, golden triangle in 1. Keep an eye where that triangle is, usually in the bottom left. Now on the motherboard, sometimes it'll be on the little black plastic thing. There we go. Big triangle right there on this. You want to line up those triangles. You also see the same on the motherboard. I don't have my glasses on, I can't actually see that with the naked eye right now. So, get your CPU, place it pretty much in the middle, and it will basically just thud in. It's got a little border that you're putting it in. You give it, don't give it a hard wiggle, just a little bit of wiggle just to ensure it's not slightly out. Then we want to return it. So keep this lever pulled back, drop this down, and we want to pull this down, making sure that these 2 side bits go either side under the screw. As you saw there, it was going on top. You need to pull out the lever, and then we push down the lever. Just kind of be careful not to crush anything on the motherboard when you're doing this. You need a little bit of force. Might hear a little bit of crunching. There, that pops out. Keep pushing down. Return it to under that little piece of metal. And there you have a fully installed CPU. So we would paste this normally, but as I said, I'm going to use the thermal paste that is already pre-applied to the stock cooler. So the CPU fan connector is up here, and we need to consider how we're going to route the fan cable with the way we're going to implement this. And the thing is, I wouldn't actually like to install this on the side. I would like it to install it this way. So let's consider how we're going to do this. It's a little bit tight there. And I just touched the thermal paste, so we now need to wipe this. If you ever touch this, you have a problem. This happens to me occasionally. I plan to replace it with MX4 eventually anyway, so this isn't a problem. Let me just go get some isopropyl alcohol. So if you don't know me well, I am very, very clumsy. So things like this happen all the time. Grab your isopropyl alcohol. I use this hex seal stuff, which I can't actually show on cam because it's too zoomed in right now. Oof, gonna have a silver finger for a little while. Just gently soak a rag. And I'm just going to use that on my finger first because I don't want to be spraying thermal paste everywhere I go. It's okay to get isopropyl alcohol in your motherboard, that's why we use it. Obviously you don't want to be soaking your motherboard in isopropyl alcohol, but just when you're cleaning up, it helps. I like to just gently rub it in. So there we go. Seal up the alcohol before we start drinking it. Just a joke, you can't drink this. So depending on your CPU, actually I'm going to grab the other MX4. I keep forgetting I've got this older 2019 edition tube that I've just been putting off finishing off. Welcome back, Laugh. So yeah, really good stuff. The pattern you use for thermal pasting is usually a little bit varied depending on your CPU, but a dot in the middle is just fine for most things. Smaller CPUs like this, no problem whatsoever. Was it Skylake and Comet Lake and the one before those two? Completely forgot what it was. But usually recommended straight line down the middle, very, very thin line. I'm not so bothered about that. Just dot in the middle is fine. Ryzen cross usually is quite good. But then again, not such a problem. If you're into that, read some Gamers Nexus articles. I'm going to go for the line down the middle actually. So you're going to remember we're not icing a cake, you just want a little bit. And that's actually quite a lot of thermal paste. So that's going to be a nightmare to clean if we ever come to it. Which we do have aftermarket coolers we're going to be getting to. Anyway, where was I with this? Ah, yes. So let's get these wires under the clip out of the way. So how are we going to handle this? I'm pretty sure that this will not reach. Yeah, that won't reach the fan connector when that is plugged in. That will only reach the system fan connector, not the CPU fan connector. So how are we going to do it? Like this. But then we have the rather ugly, well, the weird cable, which I guess we can hide a little bit by making it go around the outside. That's not gonna fly by me. I don't want, the logo itself is piss ugly, and you can't remove this logo because there is a hole here. So what you need to be quite careful about here is just aesthetics, and I do care about the aesthetics on this build a little bit. As I said, cheap stock color, probably gonna replace it. I'm gonna have probably an Arctic Pine. I forget the names of things. I'm very, very forgetful. But yeah. So the way I did this before was actually I had this disconnected, I had this come around here, and I had this bunched together with a cable tie, so it hid between the RAM. I reckon I'm going to do the same thing again. So we want them twisted away. You've got these little, you've got these arrows in the core on each of the pegs. You twist them one way for help uninstalling, and to install them, you twist them anti-clockwise. Sorry, clockwise, against the arrow. Yep, they'll come out of the box just fine. I think that's what I'm going to do with the fan. I'm not going to tidy it on stream. I'll probably tidy it after stream. It's a little bit frustrating with all this equipment right in front of me, the webcam, the lights, the microphone, so I don't like to do a lot of the small cable stuff. Just careful I didn't smudge that thermal paste there. Place this on top of the CPU and get the little white bits at the bottom of these pegs lined up over the holes. If you give it a little bit of a wiggle, then you should see on the other side these white pegs, clear pegs, protruding through. Then you just have to give it a good push. I'm going to hold it slightly off. And you hear a very, very heavy thud. That wasn't that heavy. Doing diagonally opposite ones is better. I just didn't. And give them a little bit of extra click. You might hear a little bit of clicking, but that's because we need to make sure they're fully in there. For example, we see here. I don't know if we're going to focus on this. Perhaps not. These little black pegs, these need to protrude as far as the clear pegs. And as we see, they all look right. But we're going to give them a little bit of extra going over. Don't accidentally flex the board and break it. Not the freezer. I have the freezer coming separately. I've That's going to be the optional extra, the Arctic Freezer Red 34 esports. The Arctic 12 compact. I want to call it the Alpine. Is the Alpine? Yeah. Why did that take me so hard? The one that looks like an Intel stock color, but better. So yeah, later on I'll properly manage this, get that hidden under there, and yep. So we're going to connect this to the CPU fan header. As you can see on the connector, there are little legs to the left and right here. Those will line up with a little bit of plastic there sticking out. So that plastic there goes between these two legs that are sticking out. It's going to be quite difficult to see because quite a lot of light here. And those may crunch on a little bit usually. They haven't here, but in my experience they usually do. So yeah, I'm going to cable manage that later, probably off stream. Just maybe condense it down so it's pretty well hidden under there. So yeah, that's pretty much all we're going to do with the motherboard for now. Next is to put it in the case. I'm going to keep it on here actually. I have a lot of crap on my desk. Probably a little bit prematurely to have fed this through, but sure, I'll take it. And our CPU connector has buggered off. Why? There he is. Feed him back through. Not sure what cable's holding us up right now. So anyway, we're going to talk about installing this motherboard. Do we have enough M.2s? We have 6. Yeah, that's correct. Did I say M.2's motherboard standoffs? I was just saying, looking at the motherboard to see that it does actually have 2 slots there. Oh, sorry, no, it's just the one. It looked like 2. So we need to get the motherboard hardware. Sorry, not card. Case hardware. Oh, good point, Cooper. Where is the IO shield? I took it out of the box, didn't I? Yep, the rest you got me. There's an MSI logo. I think that might look quite nice. Little insignia there. I quite like when they include tiny little novelty things like that for your case. So IO shield, or the bracket or brace, as you may find, depending on which issue of The Verge you are reading. So yeah, you can see it lines up that way. Motherboard's going to go in this way. Keep holding it this way. TV cable is just going to be a pain, but it's better to route it now than later. This can take a lot of force, and bending over and doing this in front of a camera is a bit difficult, so bear with me. You just need to push it in with your thumbs around the edges until it fully clicks in place. And that's it in place. Some of these pins are sticking out quite a bit. Feels like it's been bent slightly. We're going to make sure none of those like accidentally go in the USB port, for example. That's a problem that has happened on some occasions to some people. So we're going to try and line up the things there with the things. I know I'm being very descriptive right now. But pulling that cable because that cable's pulling on the back plate for some reason. Sorry, cable. My speech is completely gone today. So just do that so you see the motherboard standoffs line up through the holes. We're going to get nice and close here. How is this for production value? Let's see now. Here's big bag of case hardware. And it is pretty uncategorized. So that's fun. Let's pull this up just a little bit. So this is the case manual. What do we have here? This is quite nice. Gives you a list of all the screws that you have and also gives you indication of what screws to use for what. Screw type G. This does come with 4 PSU screws with the case, and PSU obviously comes with a couple, with its own. Gives you some fan support. So 3 120s on the front, 2 120s on the top, and a 120 on the back. Or 2 140s. Oh no 140s anywhere. And 2 120s on the PSU track here. This is a nice case. 3.5 hard drive base, 2, 2.5, 2, expansion slots 4, okay. Maximum GPU length 330mm. Comes with front panel instructions, drive placements. Motherboard uses screw type A and B. That's interesting. B is the motherboard standoff. So this is the screw here, gives you a visual. It's the one with the rounded thing on it, which means they're the metric ones. SSD screws the same. It says it comes with 8 of both. I'm going to assume it just comes with 8 of the one of them and expects you to sort of mix and match. There's quite a lot of screws here though, could easily be more. I'm going to empty it into one hand, pull out the ones I need, and then put them all back into the sealable bag. Not those. So it's not these screws. These are planar looking screws. It is these. With the flat rounded edge. So shouldn't put that right back in the pile, but that's the kind we're looking for here. Just dig out 6 of those. As I said, 6 standoffs already in there. 2 come extra. They're in my hand right now. Oh, the hard drive screws they use the same image, but it's the ones without the rounded thing. Well, they're so cheap on tooling, they're using the same graphics, but yeah, it's fine. When you're a budget builder, you really have to get used to using these really cheap cases that reuse a lot of tooling, because you get a lot of customer value for very little money. Didn't land it any better. dropped that one and landed right in the box next to me. But customer value, like a really nice looking case, good expansion with them later on, for really cheap, especially like a small micro ATX case like this, with actually quite reasonable cooling. There's decent enough air here on this side for it to pull air through the other side, but ain't amazing. So now to be very, very careful. Just make sure our screwdriver is correct. Yeah, it doesn't feel too big. This is the larger one, I think. And we're gonna push this in. And screw in the screw. Don't screw it too tight. I like to screw it in until I'm holding it very, very loosely until the screwdriver slips. Let's get one diagonally across. Let's go for this one in the far corner. That way our motherboard will stay in place and IO shield will stop springing out. Quick check on IO shield, just to make sure none of those small metal tabs have gone inside of any of the ports. Oops. Gonna give myself a longer screwdriver here. These screwdrivers and the whole kit, I mean, that's a lot of kit. As with a decent few plastic picks for like lifting up phone screens or whatever. Magnetizer and demagnetizer. Let's see, what do we have here? A couple of rogue pry tools. This is really nice. This actually lets you screw around corners. It's a nice flexible thing. It's really, really nice. No idea what the hell this is. Yeah, these spudgers are a suction cup and a thing for phone SIM cards, SIM card removal tool. This whole kit was like £10, £10-12. If you can get a hold of one of those on AliExpress, then I would really recommend it. They're very, very good value. So what I like about this case already is that the standoffs are actually staying in place. With, I'm not sure whether I should name them or not, but some cases on the cheaper side, those standoffs are actually not in threaded holes. So, well, they were minorly threaded, but when you screw a screw into the standoff will then start turning with it, so you don't actually get anywhere. And I probably should have my glasses on. I can't see this as easily as you can. My sight is limited by a 1080p webcam. Something about this just doesn't seem straight. Can't tell what it is. Oh. I also must apologize, I'm not actually particularly used to this webcam angle. I'm used to having it facing me and obviously left and right being switched. So things being the correct way around when I move things from left to right, for example, that might seem a little bit off when I'm doing it. So the SD card is going to be back here. So how are we going to handle this? There's no hole next here. We don't have a diagonal red SATA cable. Not sure how I feel about that. I don't feel good about it. But anyway, let's plug in our motherboard. So the motherboard has the CPU fan connector up here, and there's a little tab on this side. And obviously there is some tabs here, the little levers. You push those in to remove it later on. So you make sure those levers are on that tab. Make sure these connectors are close together. And let's push it in. Can require quite a lot of force. Make sure if you have fingernails, you just put your fingernail in there whenever you push it in to ensure it is going in. And feeling both of those tabs, they do feel like they have flipped down. And with my nail, I can't feel any gap between the connector and the socket. So that's in good. Just pull that through a little bit more. Motherboard connector is much the same, it does have its own tab. Wait, this is actually 12 plus 4 pin. My god, it is. Sorry, not 12, 20 plus 4 pin. My god. Still making these. Oh well. Kolink is a good brand, but you know, sometimes things like that happen. When's the last time any of you in my chat have actually seen a 20 pin ATX connector? Gonna brace the motherboard a little bit from the back. Can't stop saying brace now. Thinking too much of the Verge. Let's see now. Oh, it's reflecting a bit, looked a little bit like a gap, but there isn't. Yeah, I can fall behind there quite well. Probably would like to see a little bit more black cable. And I think that's how I'm going to handle the SATA as well. I think I'm going to do SATA in black rather than red. That doesn't really... I don't know. So what do you think? I'm going to ask my chat on this one. Do I want to use a red SATA cable? Or do I want to use a black one? Because both of these are probably going to terminate about here. They're going to go around the back, rather, inside these holes. So that's the amount you're going to see. So do I use red or do I use black? I'm not sure. Might as well give my chat a chance to decide that one, though. Yeah, I'm thinking black might be a bit better, even these kind of not very attractive looking SATA cables. I just realised. One of them is right angled, one of them is straight. Why? I use right angled for now. Right angled at least for this one, straight for the next one, if needed. Although I prefer one right angled side and one straight side on both of them. I find that to be the most useful combination. Black SATA cable it is. I'm already dreading the thought of cable management. Put through tight. Yeah, looks okay, doesn't it? That's fine. I'll live with that. So, a couple of things next. Let's get all the front panel connectors in. Going to be a bit of a pain. USB 3 is here, so that's going to come through the same as the motherboard. Oh, I never actually looked at a pin out of the front panel connectors. That's going to suck. You know where we need to go? To the manual. I probably could have got away with having this come up from the bottom. It's one of those size. That would have been quite nice. I'll do it if I do the hard drive. Okay, so now we're over here, a different part of my desk. You might be able to hear me similar or better. I don't know. What is this? The MSI H410 Pro? 410M Pro? Yeah, it is. So let's go to MSI's website. Specifications, no specifications, support. The other S word, not that one. Manual, my language. Let's find a full. Alright, front panel audio. GRGB fan header. Okay, chicken ones there. Rainbow. What? I didn't notice that. Nice. Yeah, we have plenty of fan headers. Alright, let's see. JFP2. Where was JFP2 anyway? That was it's the speaker, the piezo beeper. USB, JFP1, front panel connectors. Oh, it is. Very, very smaller than usual. What's the motherboard? What's JFP2 then? Oh, there is the speaker. Front panel audio. Okay, so the board is really wildly labeled. But here we can see clearly where that's going. It's quick start guide. I don't know if it has the full. That's Chinese. Not using that. So yeah, JFP1. That's what I'm looking for. Front panel connectors. So just thought I'd show you that one. So we have to pull back a bit. We now know where our connector is going to be going. So front panel connector, this one, front panel audio, also this one. There's two holes here, so we're planning both this hole. Nothing needs to come out of this hole. TPM, that's with those security encryption chip things. We don't, I mean, very few people actually ever use those. I've never encountered one in my entire life, personally. I know they exist, but and USB 3 just comes through here. Alright, looks all straightforward. Although this cable management, oh, this is gonna hurt. First, grab all our front panel connectors. This is gonna permanently be a mess because we're gonna keep these on because it makes sense to keep them on. It doesn't make sense to use them. What? It actually does want us to mount the SSDs on the other side. On the inside. You've got to be kidding me. I'm going to quickly investigate that. It looks like they're just a screw room. But I don't quite understand these screw in from the other side, but like on the other side, there's no screw holes here. So they're just held in by two? Really? Seriously? I mean, I know two is fine, but like, come on. Could do a little bit better than that. Let's install that now before we do any cable management. So, it's going to hide behind the fans there. That can just fit in. I think that lines up perfectly. Oh, well. I think there's actually slots in there that this fits into. Oops. Yeah. This is okay. This is going to go in here. It's not going to look ideal. I don't think those... Can't have a midway. I would quite like to have had that midway to cover the cable management mistakes that are about to be made. Will look better down here. Nah, I think up here's the best place for it. That's just a bit bewildering. I haven't seen a case ever that's only got 2 mounting holes for the SSD. I suppose it is all you need, but... So I'm going to bring this out just a little bit. And the reason is because I need to get my hand under here to actually screw this on. I need to give myself a little bit more free room. Also, let's find out what screws this actually requires from our case mounting hardware. As I said this in the last video, but I'm going to say it again, it's like a learning experience every single time. Huh, now I could only find the standoff screws. Seriously? Well, standoff screws it is. Double check. I know it's going to be fine, but it's always good to double check. Yeah. Right, so you need to have these connectors face down. And I need to put it in there, so I'm going to put it under. Just need to get one screw in. And I can get my hand out from under there. Again, I think it is really weird, this mounting of the, visually weird anyway, this mounting of the SSD. Don't accidentally reveal I'm completely barefoot. Should be good. So then, what were we doing? We were considering cable managing this crap. This can wait. Front panel headers. Pull these out, untie these. So most things had to go through the leftmost hole from the other side, so rightmost hole here. Except the front panel USB, I don't remember looking for that. So USB is actually slightly closer to this side, so we're going to thread it through there. USB 3, that is going to get threaded through the same as the motherboard. Below the motherboard power connector. I already spot a problem here. Perhaps I'll thread it over. If I thread it under, then that doesn't get as much room to compress, so I think that makes fine sense to me. Just quickly grab the USB out of these ones. Be going through that. The rest of these go through the other. I'm going to quickly tie these together with one of the, I think this came off the power supply, power cable. Just quickly hold all these cables together when I put them through so one doesn't slip back out. That'll get managed over there. This motherboard cable is gonna just have to come down there like that, I guess. I guess that way it does block the a lot of the view of the bad cable management through that one hole. It looks neat, just one large cable. Alright, we're getting somewhere. Not very far according to all these cables. So let's get in nice and close. So USB. USB has one corner notched out. Let's move the mic a little bit closer. Line that up with the one pin missing on the motherboard. Not going in as easy as I would like, so I'm assuming I've got that on a bit squint. No, just very difficult to push in connector. Hit or miss with these connectors, you never really know. Oh, that sounded like it just went in. Double check, yep, firm. Gotta take us back just a tad. Just get a slightly better view. A little bit too much light in there. I'll do for now. So, what next? Let's get the USB 3 in over here. USB 3 has a notch on the top here. Line that up with the slot that's on that side here. And that cable comes out okay. I'm gonna have to probably pull that a little bit tighter. We'll do that when we're doing our cable management. I'd rather cable manage just enough, just get things roughly where they should be going before I actually try and power the machine on. Right, let's get up our document again. It's pretty much usually all in the same place, usually power switch and power LED, but I have seen power switch on the very left quite often. Power LED. You won't be able to see this, it is written on those though. Power LED plus goes to the left. This is quite difficult to get in. And luckily I did pay attention, I just about put those in the wrong place. So they're very fiddly little pins. Again, a side camera would be perfect for this, but I haven't got one. So those two. So we got two of those pins plugged in. More to go. I'm going to put in the bottom ones now, the ones below it, because those are just easier. Is this the hard drive LED? Was it on the left? If you put in like the whole row of the ones at the top, and then you put in the one at the bottom, that it's a nightmare. Glasses would really help me right now. If I wasn't recording this, I think this would actually be quite a bit easier. Alright, what do we have next? Power switch. We'll just put in the reset switch, which doesn't matter. And last but not least, the power switch. What are we missing? Front panel audio. I haven't got a clue what the front panel audio is. I'm sticking right there. I'm blind. Again, hole missing on it, different than the USB. Make sure that's lined up with the hole missing on the pins, the one pin that's missing. I would love a Brio for the detail. You'd be able to see all of this. Right, so from the other side, we're going to pull these cables through to make sure they're nice and tight. And then we're going to plug in our SSD. And we shouldn't have too much issue otherwise. Do I have a Windows install USB right now? I do. I have a micro SD card. So how do I feel about this case so far? It's fine. I like the tempered glass rather than acrylic. But it's pretty brutal the amount of trade-offs we've had to have. Pretty brutal. I might have to untie these. Oh, where'd that SATA cable go? There we go. Oh, cable managing this is already going to be a mess. I can see it. Let's untangle this. Let's pull this so it's tighter. Let's make sure we give these. We don't absolutely yank them off, but I really should stop using the phrase yank them off. That's not what that means. Grab me some pliers here. Grab those couple of cable ties. Oh, these really are a lot flimsier than the ones I use. That just keeps them together and all of them tight. So this cable has to... Yep, that's fine. So I kind of want this SATA cable to go under all the mess here. Because then I could have it as the cable that's closest to the front. So all this mess of cables will be on this side of it. People will be seeing this side. Should help mask some of the monstrosity back here. I will do a little bit of cable management on stream as usual, but I don't think I'm going to spend too much time after that. I have nothing I can tie this to. I would like something to tie it to here, but best I could do is tie over here. Ain't gonna look too good. Alright, PCI power. Let's route this through properly when we get a chance to. That's going to slide under the front panel connectors here, under the USB 3, under wherever the hell this is itself. Okay. I think I want it coming out through the bottom, but we'll have to have a quick double check. That can easily be moved when we install the GPU. Oh, the 2-pin was stuck. As long as CPU remains free, I can have this managed over here. In fact, I might even do that now. I could have this managed along the side here, or I could just have it come across, be a little bit easier. Let's get these front panel connectors on top of the PSU. Frees us up a little bit more room. Alright, I'm thinking of just putting that there for now, and I'll tie that down later when I've got things more certain. Okay, I'll come in this way. Come on, give me a bit of a curl. There we go. Upside down. Can I turn it? I can. Alright, so it's a little bit more managed right now. I still have to deal with this mess, but technically we plug in the GPU. Well, we install the GPU, we plug in the power, and that should be it, aside from the hard drive here. I did plug in the Molex, didn't I? No, I didn't. Okay. So we won't hear the fans unless I plug in that. So if I can get this to be under all the other crap as well. There we go. I could hide everything down here. Loads of room tight stuff. I just realised that the SATA cable's not actually latched on. It's definitely cracked, isn't it? Yeah, certainly. Cheap SATA cables, can't argue with them. Came with the motherboard. Am I blind? No. That ain't going on. why not? These connectors are usually not stiff, well, not too stiff. There we go. Right, so if we keep all this crap on top of these cables, I keep the SATA cable well managed. It should look okay-ish from the other side. Now then, where's the Molex cable? Only 2 Molex is a little bit weird. I'm honest, I'm used to a lot more. I can hide all this down here if I untie those, but I'm gonna have so many more loose cables. But you know what? Screw it. Screw it. Because I think the Molex are just extensions on top of this cable. Yeah. They're not like they're not on the way. They're an extension coming off the end. Oh yes, free room. I'm so gonna hate myself for this. I think I might just bring them all together at the end and then just use a bunch of cable ties on the way, but some things just don't make me happy. Bad cable management is definitely one of them. Okay, we pulled this into a long string. Now I need to get some cable ties, put this together to make sure that it isn't going to annoy me too much. Probably bring out too many cable ties here. Actually, why don't I just use the same? Yeah, I don't need to waste cable ties in this. I could just use the ones that came with the thing. These are less ties and more just like tidies. I think that one came from something else. So I'm doing this one off screen. It is a long cable. I think you'd be more annoyed that I'd be moving my webcam just for this. And then spending time moving it back. Alright, so that's a little bit better. Maybe something in the middle there again, but I've got spare ones. There we go. Alright, so that's now technically one cable. And there's now technically 300 feet of cable down there. I think, oh, sorry. I think if I install an hard drive, it's going to have to be on the bottom rather than up here. I think that would be fine though, if I do the hard drive. I won't for now though. I think I'll just do it as an optional extra. So to be completely transparent with the price in this PC, I'm probably going to profit maybe £75. The GPU market right now is just trash. It's a large part of that. £75 may sound like a lot of profit for just a couple hours work, but honestly, you're sourcing parts for a very long time, especially if you were going for the used market, like an extremely long time. Not enough room for those cables to exist side by side, which sucks, but let's get back over here. Do I want to run my power cables up through the bottom for the GPU? Move that. Not actually installing it now, just doing a look. I don't know, those actually come out round about the right spot. Let's get that installed. Gonna need to remove 2 of the PCIe covers. One of them actually removes. I have no idea if I could actually capture this. I guess that's okay. Is anyone particularly bothered by that? Just comes right off rather than sliding up and down. So let's get our one actually removable PCIe cover out. And this is the screw type we're going to be using from the pack. It's kind of got a hex shape around it. Careful not to scrape your motherboard when removing this one. Oh, well, removing any of them. There's some capacitors right behind this plate as well, so we need to be very careful. I think it clears them. I was wrong, it doesn't clear them. So just wiggle it back and forward, you'll get it eventually. Can't quite pull this one out. You can just yank it right out, but like I'm not going to do that when it's this close to ripping off some of the capacitors in the motherboard. It's called a risky move. So it's an MSI motherboard, MSI graphics card. So I'm thinking an MSI logo might actually work. Make sure the slot is ready for the GPU install. Let's get the camera back to normal. That really doesn't like to turn well. So yeah, there's a little flap here for moving your graphics card. When you're removing it, you have to reach over your graphics card and just push that down. And also when you're installing it, push it down. When you clip your push your graphics card in, it'll slot. It'll snap into place. Spin our graphics card. Be careful not to knock off those capacitors there. Put it in just before it gets there. Slide it fully to the left. And there we go. How long has that been bent? I didn't notice this was bent. Even when I bought it. Did I bend this? Nah, there's no... I hit nothing that could bend it that far. Spinning it back with some pliers now. This might be some kind of cursed build because it is an open box motherboard and they do guarantee it works as CCL. Doesn't? We can only hope. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of having to crunch that up a little bit just to get it back. Alright, so it looks like it's in place. Now we need to line it up over the slot. Sounds like it's about connecting fine. Let's double check that tab is down. Push it in. Tab instantly closes. Don't want to wiggle it too much. CPU a little wiggle, just make sure that paste also settled in firmly. Let's screw this in. Grab another screw from the motherboard. Sorry, not the motherboard, the case hardware. Again, one of those with the hex. So a little bit of extra screwdriver here. That doesn't line up with a hole in a million years, but we'll make it work. Seems to work fine. Graphics card cables. We are technically ready to boot after this. So how do I want to do it? Do I want to do these two, or do I want to switch those around? These are both 8-pin, so I don't need to worry about a loose 2-pin, which is a nice little bonus. Although the power it uses is kind of insane. That looks a bit odd. This looks a bit more odd. Let's go with the slightly lesser looking odd, less odd looking option. Oh shit, these tabs are going to be at the top, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah. You can see there's little tabs there on top of the port and the obvious little clip thing again. Shoo. That does not look any better. Ah, neither of those look any good. We'll just settle with it. Hopefully we can pull them tight from the other side. So these just slide together. 2-pin comes separately. In fact, I'm not even so worried about that. I'm just going to plug that in and plug in the 2-pin after. Save me some hassle. It's clipped in fully. And with any luck, this will boot. Right. Got to put on the PCI cover. Which doesn't really fit on too well because the bent MSI I keep wanting to call it a brace. That's just the Verge talking. Right, so let's plug this in, see if we get any signal. Let's grab our HDMI for the capture card. It's power buttons on the very far side, isn't it? Lighten up. CPU light. Next light. Oh, it's cycling. Okay. Ah, nice. Seems to work. We're in the BIOS. Let's grab a keyboard and mouse. There we go. And as long as everything here works, then we are not bothered about much else. RAM's working at CL16, full 2666 speed that we plan to have it at. Let's get his mic a bit more concentrated. Drive is disabled. Enabled. And seen in its full capacity. We have some fan curves going on there. You know what? These fans are not too loud. I just put on the tempered glass. And that's a little bit of a problem. Oh, that two pin's also loose. Perhaps that will be considered a little bit loud. We're going to mod those. But so far, everything in the video seems to be working just fine. There is a white LED on the motherboard. I don't know if that's just there or if it's just an indicator. It's the third LED. Do we have that in the manual? Oops, wrong mouse. Okay, so that's fine. The fourth LED, which is the one we're seeing, boot device failure, which means obviously we don't have Windows, so not a problem. Not a problem in the slightest. So that does end the build segment. We are built and we seem to be fine. We're going to do a 5-volt mod on the fans and install Windows and benchmark, tune up, everything we need to do after that. This is not too bad. Alright, the final part of this puzzle. We are going to 5-volt mod these fans. Rather than be sane and use a splitter. Using a splitter is sane. 5-volt mod on the fans is fun. We do stupid shit around here. But personally, I do intend to add quite a lot of fans. I would like to add in. We are adding a red LED RGB fan here, which would immediately already give us a bit of a problem, and 2 fans up here. And with those 3 plus the 4th, I think I don't have enough fan connectors for that then. Cooler at some point, replaced, probably Arctic. A little bit of heat there from a pretty much idle CPU. Let's turn off. Flip switch, unplug. Well, I was just explaining I'm not going to use the splitter because I've actually only got the one in at the moment. So cable management wise, this is not bad already. We just need to do a little bit of work around the back, but aside from it, this front is pretty presentable. Need to pull that through just a little bit, just to yeah. But no, some of these we just need to secure around the back rather than do much about. Let's get that tilted, pull that in. Yeah, looks fine. Maybe a little bit less slack on the CPU cable there as well. Yeah, that's fine. I could use a fan up, but I don't have one. And I don't want to add more price to this build. It's already quite a low profit build. So if I'm spending 5 here, 5 there, 3 there, suddenly I eat 20% of my profit just trying to put some fans in. And yeah, it's not good. So then, 5-volt mod. I'm gonna have to show you how to do this. This is something you have to learn to be a big boy at some point. So you buy an extension cable like this, a splitter. You can get extension cables that are literally just, you know, male to female Molex either side, basically pointless, gives you 10 extra centimeters on a fan. You can, but they're not worth buying. Usually they're a little bit more expensive because no one really makes them. They're a bit useless. But these splitters, one Molex into two, absolutely piss easy to obtain. I'm going to give us a little bit less light here, just because these Molex connectors are pretty bright white and they're quite hard to see. So to do this mod, wire cutters are not essential. We're going to be removing one of these sides. You don't have to do it, you could just leave it there, no problem. Definitely not an issue. And you need something sharp. A paper clip will do perfect. Paper clip is always quite nice. I have a little bit of a very thin screw bit. I do not know where it's gone. I use this nearly daily. How do I not know where it is? Where are you? There you are. But yeah, any pointy instrument, I'm going to be using this very, very pointy screw bit, which as you see is already bent because I've been doing this quite a lot. And what this is going to involve is essentially, here we have the red cable going to, on the left here, going to the left here, and the yellow cable going to, from the right here to the right here. What we want to do is essentially turn these around, because otherwise the connector will be the right way around. So we're going to unplug the red and the yellow and switch them around. I'm also going to grab a Sharpie. This is some more advanced stuff if you don't know this. It's fun to learn. Not too much else to say about this in particular. It's a quite easy mod. Yeah, I guess I might as well go into specifics. Basically, the yellow here is your 12 volt. The two blacks here are ground, so they don't actually matter too much. And the red here is your 5 volt. Essentially, what happens with the 2-pin Molex fans, they only use two of them, two of these wires in the 4-pin Molex. So we need to be more concerned about replacing the 12 and the 5 with each other. And that's pretty simple. Instead of running at full speed, they'll run at what? 40% of their speed? So just think of it as the leftmost cable they're using. Take away the ground, or the second one, which is going to be used as ground. So 12 volts minus 0 volts, we've got a 12 volt connector. We switch them around, we have 5 volts minus 0 volts, 5 volt fan connector. And if we have 12 volts here, and we change the ground for 5 volts, we're using the 5 volts as a ground, which is, it's not ideal, but you'll then get 7 volts, 12 minus 5. I just don't like doing that. 5 volts fine for me. There's 3 fans at the front of this thing. This is an okay amount of airspace. So we're going to cut off one of these. As long as we cut as close into the connector as possible, then those are not going to short with anything. So just double check. We've got our 2 connectors that are the same. We're going to cut one of them off. Make sure we're cutting the right wires here. And there we go. So we now have basically an extension. So there's 2 sides to the Molex that we can use. And we're going to be using this side because as you can see, it's a lot more open. Both of these pins are what we're going to have to remove, and we need room around them. So this pin is going to be so much better to work with. So let's ignore this one. This one we're taking the pins out of. I like to mark where the 12 volt or the yellow goes. So just we'll mark it over with a Sharpie, and we'll know where that is. So we take both wires out at once. We know which one was originally for the yellow. So it's going to look exactly the same, just like this, but the connector will be a different way up. So I need to find a good example of this. Is that one? That's a fair one. As you can see, there's a little tab there sticking out. And what you need to do is you push in that tab with your whatever. Paperclip works perfectly fine, as I said. And yep, that's it. Oh, this is really difficult to do through camera. As you see, pushing that one tab, and there's going to be a tab on the other side. There's two tabs on each of the connectors. So this is going to be difficult to record. I apologize in advance for all the off-screen that's about to be going on. Or not going on, rather. Probably should get my specs on, but, you know. And we pull it right out. And the connector looks like this. You can see there where those tabs are on the sides. What we need to do is pull out those tabs again. So what I like to do is to get the screwdriver under. Oops, just lost it there. And just pull it out. So you can see, you've got it sticking out again, ready to go back in. It goes in and then it locks in because that tab can't go through. That's why you push in the tab so it can then go through. Pretty simple. And our connector is ready to be reattached to the other side. So we need to do the same for the red side. Let's find these connectors real quick. It's one in. And I think that's between the tabs, not the tab itself. And there we go, the red's out. Sometimes if you push them a little bit too far, then you need to push in from one side to come out the other, to push through the other tab. Again, apologies if the video is mostly out of focus here. It's pretty difficult to get around this. There we go. Stuck at the tabs again, that's probably a little bit far, we don't need them that dramatic. So where the yellow was, which I marked with the black Sharpie, that's where we're going to put the red. Make sure it's in there firmly. And the yellow on the other side. So now our fans are going to be getting 5 volts instead of 12 volts if we put this as an interface between them. Let's find our abomination here. Back this up just a little bit because the focus is a little bit screwy still. Make sure when you plug in the Molex you don't actually push these pins back out because they can be a bit of a pain really. Let's connect up this Molex. And there we go. We have an extra chain link in our chain, but it is now going to run those fans a lot smoother. I'm tempted to literally fold this all up into a bundle and then put it in there. I think that would be a good idea. I have to second guess everything I think is a good idea because half the time I ain't right. I think I'm just going to skip using a proper cable tie. I'm going to use a cable tie D. Because I'm not entirely confident on when I'm going to stick with this idea or not. This is my cable management. Every time I'm like, oh, I'm not too confident in that. Stick it to one side, come back, work on it later. Alright, so we do need to tie a lot of this up. So where are we going to start doing that? These two need to be quite flat. I would prefer if this one was a bit more taut than that. So I think there's good, I think there's also good. Where did I put my cable ties? I think I'm hiding things from myself. If I build with your instructions, I'm going to have fire on my hands. Not prepared to deal with that, I'm afraid. Gonna get this to hook right away. This is not needed, but just get that nice and tight. Get that tight as well. Keep pulling those two down. And I think that's probably the final click I'm going to get out of that. Oh no, one more. I don't personally mind not having this cable managed if it's like looping around. I think this is fine. Still room for a drive in there. There's nothing really for the GPU cable to latch onto though, which I'm not a big fan of. Let's just slide this down here. Nothing for that to hold on to. Unless I could cable manage it thinner. That's good for me. Just attach it to another cable. Who needs an anchor point? I'm surprised I have literally nothing going up there. You know what I should have done? I should have rerouted the front panel connectors down through the top rather than through the middle. Oh, why did I not think of that in time? You know what? We're too late. We're in the mess. We're going for it together. We're all fighting this one together, lads. This probably can't go over there without ripping out those front panel connectors, sadly. But you know what? I am actually okay with that just sitting from the PSU like that. There's no harm to that whatsoever. Your main concern with cable management is not like, well, obviously you don't want to set fire by pulling a verge, but you just want to make sure if someone comes to work in this case later on, especially, which could include you, that you just make it a very easy job, straightforward. And honestly, having a CPU cable that comes down from here and is the only cable sitting here, they know exactly what that is, where it's going. It's not in the way of anything else. It doesn't have to look fantastic. And I hate when cases do this. Don't give you like ample clearance or a lower side on one side of the slot here. Oh, pretty bad storm outside. Did that actually just turn itself over, or did I mess that up? I swear I had the right way around. Oh well. There was a cable management. Remember right, that wasn't too taut? Yeah, it could be a lot more taut. In fact, that could be turned around. Oh, was that too tight to turn that? It may or may not be. Oh no, it's not. In fact, that's hardly tight at all. I don't know why that one's not tighter. Don't want to crush the cable too much, but you know, no problem. If it is a ribbon, it's best to try and keep it as much of a ribbon as possible. That's kind of not great, because cables more clustered together, they generate more heat. So nothing's going to happen to that, but we're fine. So yeah, so someone comes by here, sure, they got the front panel connectors in one nice group. Motherboard cable is kind of out of the way. Power supply cable is just tucked under there, no problem. All the fans come in a bundle. In fact, I'm not sure. That's the logs. Alright. So it ain't ideal, but it looks okay. It'll do for now. I'll come back and fix this later. More than likely. This is a mess, but Yeah, it would have been a lot better if I just brought down the front panel connectors. It's going to look fine from the other side, I think, though. I think it's going to look perfectly fine. Something really ain't enjoying me. Is it this cable and this cable on top of each other? I think it is. Oh yeah. That cable ain't happy. But you know what? Metal bends. Okay, maybe not that much. Oh, that's. I don't think Laf's going to join the PC Central server. It's not her place. Kind of place. I don't like this turn. This turn's pretty unfortunate. Sort that out. She's a bit more of a fangirl here rather than a PC enthusiast. When I say fangirl, I mean one of many. And no one would ever know until they took off this panel and got slapped in the face by it exploding. Oh, should be more careful with my Wi-Fi adapter now. And we've still got all this mess to deal with. Is this why I got Windows on? I think so. That was weird. Had to hit the switch just right. I would make jokes about Laf not being female, but I know you would very much take them literally. So just remember that's not a kind of question you go about asking people. Let's see, everything looks fine here. Boot priority, USB hard disk, USB floppy. What the fuck? Alright, let's see what we get. F12, is that the menu? Screenshot, what the hell? Oh, you know what actually has happened, I think. It's actually like gone into the USB port. You talk about it happening, but then it just randomly happens to you. Yeah. The tabs from the IO shield. I think I'll just trim those off. So this piece of metal was lodged in USB port. It is a big problem, but it hasn't caused one. We're good. Wherever my install USB just went. Fans are running a lot quieter, by the way. The one was successful. Damn it, I used to have a blue one, and then it broke. Could always find that when I needed it. Everything's working good here. So, happy enough with that. That? Hang on. Let me try that again. Because that just went really wonky. Then it insta turns on. I think my front panel connector is not in properly. Alright, what are we on? DRAM not detected or failed. What? Completely switched off. Is it actually holding that much residual power? Let's reseat the RAM. Switch the slots around. That kind of jiggery pokery usually gets it working. Seller on eBay did have good feedback rating, but obviously still could sell me duds. I have a recording of opening these exact RAM sticks while recording the no, oops. Nothing is plugged in. That's a very, very, very slow start up. DRAM LED is gone. You know why? A great way to get display output is to actually plug your display in. Fucking. Oh man. Oh man, I take the cake. Oh shit. Alright, now I need to figure out what the boot device hotkey is because my capture card doesn't start capturing fast enough for me to see the post screen. Let's see what delete does. Okay, takes me here. Let's go advanced. God, this is worse than profile, overclocking, USB flash BIOS, no. Hardware monitor, no. Display motherboard information, no. Wait, that doesn't actually select it. Fucking drag and drop, are you kidding me? Who has a drag and drop BIOS? What is this fucking learning for? Is this a leapfrog learning pad or a PC? I have no idea. Oh, I actually probably should check to make sure Windows is actually on this. That's something else I'm prone to also make a mistake on. Okay, now that works. And now that's starting instantly. I don't get it. Let's see if I can see. Why is that so quick? Why is that display jank? GPU's just like, nope. Alright, this feels a bit like a GPU issue. And this suddenly happens. Alright, see you later, Mohammed. We have to troubleshoot this. So whatever F2 does, it doesn't like. Did we try resetting the CMOS? Is there a CMOS jumper I can reset? Please. I don't want to take the battery out, it's hidden. You know which, where is the CMOS battery? There is a jumper. That one. About one. I don't think likely, but whoever last had it might have had some funky settings in the BIOS. And for some reason it just, with our hardware, it just automatically thinks, sure, why not? You basically just connect the jumper for the screwdriver. Let's see. This hard disk is the only thing showing up. Memory is working fine. It's a kind of incredibly garbled display. Oh, that'd be weird. Alright, looks like that's mysteriously working now. Move my own mouse out of the way. That was really weird. I don't have product key. We'll install that later, off stream. Windows 10 Pro. Who doesn't use Windows 10 Pro? Last modified November, I thought I made a boot USB much more recently than then. I guess they just haven't updated on well. Upgrade? There isn't one. Yeah, it's completely new drive. Just so I can show you, if you delete all these, this is a really simple task, and then you just click next anyway, it'll automatically create those partitions that I just created there. You don't need to click new, just if you feel off about it. So where would this be? This drive mounts differently. The holes in this drive, as you can see, that spacing is fine across the drive, but then these two here and then these two here, these are really close together and those don't match the holes here, which is slightly worrying. I don't want to be holding this on with just two screws, that'd be a little bit jank for me. So again, optional upgrade, but I don't think I'm going to be including it just because it's a little bit jank in this case. This case does not seem to have the best support in the world. Then again, this is an older drive. This is not something too standard. I just got bulk 3TB hard drives. But, you know, surprisingly, the issue we had is that I just could not find the soldering boot menu. And a very small issue of, when I say small, quite large, significant issue of me accidentally having part of the IO shield jammed in a USB port. Oh, we do have to wait for the install, but this is not a problem. Perhaps I'll use one of those drives myself as a data drive for these videos, which are getting longer. So there's no RGB in this case yet. There will be when I get a red LED fan for the back. But yeah, I find this works. I'm going to take off the cellophane. We're going to have some peels on camera, and we can celebrate completing this build. It's pretty sizable rubber grommets in this case. So how did it come out? Let's restarting. So I think it came out fine. This looks visually fine. Oh, what the hell? ERD services, what the hell is that? Oh, Pro Series, fucking hell. No wonder. It's the bias on the motherboard, okay. It wasn't displaying right at first. It's probably due to the capture card setup. This looks nice. I think it's maybe not quite as black and red as I like. Maybe a little bit of extra sag there that could probably be taken up by a sag bracket. But no, I mean, visually, all looks fine. Maybe a little bit of extra sag in that cable that could be taking up. SSD, just fucking stuck my fingers in fans there. Yeah, these fans are running a lot slower, but they're going to have a lot less intake because I've got the actual side that does suck in the air, which is the opposite side to this one, face down. So yeah, that's going to be a problem. But yeah, I think that looks fine. I just need to cable manage in this fan. As I said, I'll clamp that in just a little bit with the cable tie, and that'll do the trick, I think. Just a little bit, probably. Probably pinch it in like this and I can stick it down there. Not even sure if I'll bother because fucking I need to stop doing that. I know I'm going to replace that at some point anyway. Nice black and red build. I'll get a better view of it later. And we have some Windows installation. English United Kingdom. This is going to look great when it's edited, but it's going to look trash on stream, I think. I forgot to plug in the dongle. There we go. So yeah, we're going to test out the new USB dongle. Put it on top. Wu-Tang LAN 5G, connect automatically. You did laugh. You wanted a dongle in your hand and someone gave you one. And not many people are going to know that context. Set up personal use. My stepdad wants to make some kind of teacup holder? What? That would be monstrous to print. Why is he wanting to print that? That would be horrible. Fucking hell. Ain't happening. No. Offline accounts. I never set up accounts. Just go limited, avoid all the online stuff. Go admin, people are happy with that. Don't need a password. We're not worried about security when we're going to be handing it to the person who's buying it. They can decide on their security after. Don't use online speech recognition. Let Microsoft apps use your location? No. No. Only the required. I don't really mind that one, to be honest. But there have been times I've seen like just slight hookups, like hang-ups rather, where you're getting stuck uploading diagnostics for a problem that just crashed or something. You'd rather it just be over. So I wouldn't mind improving the services personally, but let Cortana help you. How about I don't let Cortana help me? It's assuming Cortana can help you. It can't. Just plug our USB in that has our background on it. This is not going to be a Noma Tech branded PC. I don't know if I want to use this sticker or not. I could put it over the Kolink logo and just be cheeky about that. Alright, so just to make this a little bit easier to see, I'm going to display settings, display resolution, 1280 by 720. This should make it a lot easier to see on stream. A video control panel, how about I avoid that right now? Ooh, maybe later. Agree, but it's gonna launch it anyway. No. Go away. Alright, first thing we want to do is to tune this down. Let's just make it the icon. People don't need... You don't actually need it at all because you just open this up and start typing and then you get your search, but that's fine by me. That's our install USB, which to avoid further problems we're just going to remove. Set this our desktop background. Personalize. And we will select this later when we are able to. We'll activate Windows. Not going to do it right now on stream. Don't enter any keys or just anything along those lines. Oh, I actually have to agree to that. Okay. So Edge is actually fine. There's nothing particularly wrong with Edge. It's the new Edge. The old Edge was crap. The buffed Internet Explorer that started using Chromium was kind of crap. But this Edge is honestly really not too bad. We're gonna get Chrome just so they have an additional option anyway. And there are two things we want to grab. Our Wi-Fi dongle seems to be working perfectly fine. Let's get Chrome. Gonna get Firmark. We're gonna get Cinebench. This is non-Windows Store download. No, that's an advert. and we are going to get core temp. We could use hardware info, but I like core temp. Core temp is a nice utility that people can use, and I like to just have it on. You can permanently have a readout of the CPU temperature on the site, and that's actually quite nice for some people. Now we need to get our NVIDIA drivers, most importantly, for our graphics card. Ignore anything that's other than NVIDIA, anything like driver booster, that kind of thing. They're just basically bloatware. They will install ads and various other things on your PC. So we're going GTX 900 series. This is 980 Ti. Game ready drivers, fine studio drivers. I think it just doesn't have the game support in it. Can't say for certain though. We now have Google Chrome. Let's get started. Let's go for the... skip that for now. Let's go for default. It says the default browser. And then we can unpin Edge and pin Google Chrome. We don't need a Microsoft Store, you could easily access that anyway. We don't need mail, we're going to get rid of that. And settings are not pinned, that's fine. So we're just going to skip that, and there we have it. I will also probably install Office software on this PC. So what did I actually install? I didn't install firmware, I got to the download page. Oh, I clicked the ad, that is why. Yeah, that was obviously inevitably going to happen. Let's get firmware. Oh, I never got that far. Makes sense. Did I get core temp? I swear I did. Maybe not. I think I'm going crazy. I am kind of dehydrated, been at this for 3 hours and ran out of a drink before I got here, but I'd rather soldier on and finish this off. Ah yes, this does come with spam in the installer. We don't need additional language packs. We don't even need a desktop shortcut, we're just going to have this running on their system. This is a more than strong system to have this kind of crap running in the background. Like, you don't need to worry about it at all. Accept the agreement. Yep. 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 It's all good. Cinebench also downloaded. We'll need to remember to come back and delete that later. So this is where we're going to set this up. So general, we're going to have Windows taskbar. Enable Windows, don't need that. Temperature, advanced. Not useful, notification area. Highest temperature. We just need the one. If, like, for example, one's 80 degrees and 2 are 60, you know, that's a different problem, but just the fact that we're running 80 degrees in the first place gives them warning signs early. Notification area, there we go. Display, start core temp, minimized. Close core temp to the notifications area. Display temperature, affect that. General, start core temp with Windows, there we go. And now we permanently have a temperature here. We just need to drag it out. And there we go. That'll start with Windows, permanent temperature readout, right there. So how do I sell preferences? Custom minimum test duration 1? Hopefully we complete a pass in a minute, otherwise that'll be a bit embarrassing. Nope, that does not work. And fun. Oh, I just realized half the menu's not showing. Because it's not used to this. I have to ramp that up to 1080p to do that. Oh, well, let's give our GPU a quick burn-in test. Let's do 1080p. My lord, that coil line. Running pretty quiet still though. Now we need to go through a lot of images with my brother to find out what I managed to get from his GPU. Did I test this GPU? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. It's not so easy to get hold of the images in a chat anymore. It's picking up a little bit. Not too bad. That backplate is very, very functional. It's going to heat up the room if I keep that up. Not a lot of airflow, but as I said, we're currently sitting open, so we don't have to care about the... Oh, gotta stop sticking my fingers in fans. The vent being blocked. Alright, we got 111 FPS average, pretty good. A normal 980 gets about 80, 81. So we're definitely well ahead, we're definitely well into that territory. CPU hit 50 degrees, probably because it was just chilling under there. Oh, we started Cinebench, that's why. We never got our NVIDIA drivers in the end, did we? We didn't. We got as far as to get to the download page, and then we went elsewhere. Video website, why do you do this? Well, this, I can't do a speed test, that shows a lot of IPs and crap. So yeah, I'm a little bit all over the place, I'm not, I didn't come with the plan when I really should have. But let's get our NVIDIA driver installed, we'll restart, we'll run Cinebench, we'll see what happens. Why does this take me to one download page where I have to click a button, say download, and then I have to click another? That does not make that much sense, sir. I'm surprised it's without the driver. Did that come with Windows Update? Did I just instantly go and grab that? Right, what, 461.4? See what DXDiag tells us. 980 Ti, version 26.20, what? More info, please. Screw it. Base manager it is. I have no idea what the hell that is. Worrying to see, but you know. The driver date is a year and a half old. Okay. So it looks like the default driver that comes with Windows is about 1 year out of date. Which I guess is fair. They can't just include every single driver. That's going to go up there in file size quite a bit. But it is quite nice they do include at least some driver at some point. That's, you know, reasonably modern compared to the age of the GPU, just to make sure it's going to run fine until you could upgrade them yourself. I just hope they didn't do that with the 5700 XT. That thing would never fucking run when you try to launch Windows. No GeForce experience. We're talking about amateur users here that are probably going to let it optimize their games, have it completely screw them up, and then never be able to disable it. The display is going to reset at some point during its installation when it installs the driver. I suspect I'm going to have to stand this PC up. You're not going to get such a good view though, but... Actually, let's install the driver, let's put the glass panel on it, let's christen this a finished PC. where I will in the future come back and cable manage around the back a bit more. Oh, and I need to sort out that fan, but that's a 10-minute job. I just want to get all this crap out of the way before I spend some time doing something even more tedious that I don't really have to do right now. How much room's on these things? It's like 160 or something after overheads. 193, that's really not bad. There we go. Graphics drivers coming in. Yep, only built in a 3.5 hour stream, which is not good, but if I wasn't streaming this, how long would this take? Less than 2 hours to be done with the software stuff, probably. Just straight hardware wise, no problems whatsoever. That's a 1 hour build. Learning in this case has been fun, but explaining everything as I go, taking 2-3 times as long, has been a bit of a pain. But I will get more and more used to it. If I get more cameras where I don't have to actually do much to get better camera views and lighting and whatsoever, then it's all fine. Quite like the MSI logo on this graphics card. Well, I see why they call them heat pipes. Oh, this is a GPU that idles at high temperatures. Thick. Am I a fan of that? No. We have our drivers installed, but I'm going to quickly. Oh, Firmark shut the bed because I updated the driver. And I think we need to restart. Yeah, I think Firmark thinks it's running. Oops. Let's shut down first. Let's go right back here. Firstly, inside peel. Oh, that was nice. Holy staticky fuck. Just grounding myself heavily. Well, that's looking really good. Wow, that looks amazing. Enough static there to put my electricity company out of sale, out of work. That is one nice looking glass panel, wow. It subdues everything just perfect in there. A red LED fan, absolutely perfect. Maybe even one there, one up there, maybe two up there. As I said, I'm still waiting on those fans to come, which is a bit of a pain. I would really love for them to be here. So at some point I lost a screw.
it.
Oh, no, I didn't. Stuck to my phone's magnetic charger. Not the first time. Oh, let's boot it up. Power on. That slight delay between turning on is a bit weird, but yeah, everything in there looks fine. I'll stand this up. I don't think that's happening. Nice. My mic stand became inverted there. Interesting. Alright, what else we need to do? We need to unpin all of this crap. Personally, this is what I do. You can also remove this, the rest of the apps here, but yeah, we're fine with that. So we could delete that. We don't need the icon. There's Google. Someone has their own PC. Let's launch up Cinebench. Display settings. Let's get us to 1080p. As you can see, core temp started and it's minimized, so we do have that there, and people can open it if they wanted to. What is that? Oh, it's a dog. The whole time I thought that was a... Ah, here we go. Minimum test duration, 1 minute. And that is the case. So you remember there is no rear or roof extract on this fan right now, it's just whatever is being sucked in through the sides. Through the 5V mod. Which, maybe it's worth spending the extra £1 right now and just using the oh, that's quite nice, the MSI has a red LED in it. Spending the extra £1 and just using a full-on fan splitter. As I said, I really wouldn't like to use one. But maybe it's needed. Either way, 10100F, not overclockable. As hot as it's going to get now is as hot as it's ever going to get. The GPU won't overheat, it's a decent MSI GPU. So far there are obviously quite a lot to render. What we just really want to see is what's in the bench store are we going to get in this. I know what I'm expecting, so. Is 3200 on R23? Might be wrong, that might be 22. Or is that 22 on R20? I think so. 3300 on R23. Okay, I think that last one might be correct. I think I can hear the CPU fan spinning up. But that's pretty quiet. On their desks, no one's going to notice. Wi-Fi unit seems perfectly operational. 68 degrees there, 69. We might hit 70. 70 there. Long run though, this thing's never going to hit more than like 74 degrees, even if like we blocked off the vents mainly. But yeah, as soon as we get a rear extract on this thing, no issues whatsoever. Very little coming out of the roof extract compared to the rear extract. So yeah, fan there. Big help. 70 degrees, no problem. The GPU is the main worry for the weight of the... I might 3D print something custom to go in there. No problems whatsoever. 5,600, okay, it's very much not what I thought it would be. Fair enough. Let's go back to 720 for a temporary minute. Let's do one final thing today, and that is run FurMark. Can we do 720p and still have like some kind of acceptable frame rate? Yeah, 8 times annihilation slows it down enough that we have a frame rate we can control. Very nice FPS there. Oh, this thing just naturally runs hot because of the idle fans. So this thing's probably going to break 80. I don't think it's going to hit 82, 83. Our fans right now are 63%. Yeah, we're not even... the fans are barely even trying at this point. I think when they get to maybe like 80%, we'll start noticing and it's probably going to hang around 80 degrees. This is a very quiet hanging GPU. I think I'll print an anti-sag bracket myself. Maybe just something that sticks in the bottom, hole poking up. Fan's kicking up a bit now. We hit 80 degrees. Oh, that's a quite hefty storm outside. No, fan refuses to go to 80%, even at 81 degrees. And this thing loves to run quiet. I mean, it's getting louder now, but as long as it doesn't go above, like, it's not snow at the moment, it's rainstorm. It's probably going to snow overnight. It's just above freezing right now. I think it has to be maybe -1 or to 1 before it starts to snow. I've seen it snow at 1 or 2 degrees before because, you know, it's colder up in the air where it forms, but yeah. Probably not going to snow for a little while. Stressing the hell out of this GPU, but the thing is, it's an amazing GPU. Maybe 5 volt was probably underkill on those. Maybe I should have just gone for the 7 volt. Tell you what, I'll play around with this after stream and I'll probably 7 volt those fans at the same time as just see what happens when the other red LED fan comes in, because that is going to make the case absolutely pop. I can't actually sell it till those fans come in and they aren't in, so it's really a big pain in the ass. I do have another GPU I need to try and more RAM I need to try, and I might even use this machine for testing the drives. So while I wait for the fans to come in, I'll probably use it temporarily as a test machine for other parts I need to verify work before I make the next machine. But as soon as I sell this, I mean I've got GPU ready, I've got everything ready. And I also reckon I'm going to get some whiskey. So it doesn't look like this wants to hit A5. It looks like A5 is probably the maximum point it wants to hit. Which is fair. GPUs, they do get hot. That's quite good. For running 100% this heavily. Everything here is going good. My brother's birthday is in 30 minutes, so... We're about to hit the 5-minute mark, which is where we're going to end this. And let's end that. So I'm just going to write a quick note to myself while this GPU cools itself down. I got to install Windows. Cable manage the cooler. Order update. Estimator iPhone. Okay. Have to test RAM plus GPU for the next PC. Then I need to, well, not install Windows Activate. And then I need to remove software. There we go. Oh, and I forgot to mention, 3-pin these IO shields, quite nice actually. Haven't had a chance to use one yet. I would like to probably use one in the next ultra budget build. If it doesn't have an IO shield. I tend not to buy without IO shields though. This could be a good solution. So, we're shutting down and we are ending the stream while we're at it. Just put us over here. Thanks everyone for joining me, but I do have a shitload of stuff to clean up now. So when I'm doing in person, I just stack all in one neat pile. I have time to sort the stuff out. When I'm doing stream, I'm just like, okay, I'll throw over here, I'll move on to the next thing. So, goodbye, and maybe I'll see you in a tune-up video if I do one, but I probably won't. And thanks everyone for coming to the live stream. I've stopped the recordings that I've done locally. I'm gonna go get a whiskey now, I think.